The views and opinions expressed by the following program are those of the host, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of this station or Webster Rock Hill Ministries, its management, or other hosts or underwriting sponsors. Programs presented on KWRH-LP are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Views which are presented are for educational purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, or claim any cure of disease or condition.
Hello, family. We're back at it again with our second show, and we're going to be talking about healthy families, healthy relationships from a family perspective, from to the children, to every aspect of what makes a healthy relationship go. There are several topics that we'll be discussing today, and my name is Greg, and of course, my lovely wife Robin is my co-anchor or co-host. But before we begin, I would like to more or less re-inform you, family, on why this is such an important topic. This topic, from a perspective, it crosses all border lines, all racial lines, all income lines, all neighborhood lines, because it's dealing with a subject of marriage. It's dealing with a subject of healthy communication. It's dealing with economics. So you name it, from the whole gamut. This family structure is arguably the most important topic. And from a spiritual perspective, it's the most important thing that God has given us. When we can find a mate who that supersedes, that helps the whole family grow, because not only do you find your mate, you find your role models for your children and their children's children. And this thing goes on and on and on. But these two articles, kind of from what I had mentioned earlier about how marriage and relationships touch every sectors. The region that we live in my opinion, is one of the best regions in the United States of America. St. Louis, Missouri, and yet St. Louis County. And I was born and raised here. I'm a proud Missourian. I love it. But there are some things that really concerns me about our region. And unfortunately, it's a deal where it crosses and it touches both of us. One of them, there was two news articles, and they were from credible sources. One of them was from the St. Louis Business Journal, and it talked about St. Louis. And out of 474 cities, St. Louis was named the worst city in the United States of America for young families. And that was, this article ranked it on several categories. And the categories consisted of education, housing, of course, crime always creeps up in there. And it also, 25% of it was child friendliness. But the main thing about this is that we've got to improve. We really have, because we've got to always think about, when we have positive relationships, how that sectors into our community, how that sectors into our children being all what they can be. So we have to start off and set an example for them as well. Another article, which was written in U.S. Money magazine, it talked about St. Louis being a population, and this is probably just the inner city, but a population of no more than 300,000, with the median home values of 130,000. The poverty rate was at 24.9%. And of course, it talked about bachelor degrees and that sort of thing. But the point is that if we can improve the family structure, we definitely can improve all these categories. Wouldn't you like to see couples married, being in homes, being taxpayers, helping the local economy grow, helping neighborhoods flourish and thrive? So, you know, when we talk about and we study deep in regards to how do sliding and deciding other things that can help our relationship grow, it even crosses into our neighborhoods being better, our communities thriving. So I just want to let you know how important and vital this topic is. And Robin has a few things that she would like to mention, and I'm going to turn it over to her as well.
Hello, family. This is Robin, and Greg just discussed about families and how it's important for our communities, it's important for our children, it's important for the economy. And just to hear the news from the St. Louis Business Journal, it was just unbelievable. But you know what? We can do a lot of things to improve that. We can improve on our rates of marriage. We can improve on our dating lifestyles. We can improve on healthy living, healthy eating, being more available for our children, as well as doing activities with our kids. These are some of the things that you can do as a family. It's very important that we do these things because we want our family to have a good foundation. I know last week we talked about how relationships are very important and how it can be safe in the community. We talked about three things. Is my relationship physically safe, emotionally safe, as well as commitment safe? And it's very important to have these three things on safety when it comes to relationship. Of course, is your relationship physically safe? You know, or fights sometimes get physical, or arguments are scary. Am I afraid of my partner? You know, you can do a scale from 1 to 10 and just write down those items, and you can decide that if these things are in a relationship that are bad, then it's not safe for you. You know, my partner becomes very angry, doing arguments, being out of control. I don't feel like my children are safe around my partner. So you can do from 1 to 10. You can start off unsafe at 1 and go to safe at 10 and do a scale to make sure that your relationship is safe. That's one thing. The second thing is my relationship emotionally safe. Is my partner a good friend to me? I sense that my partner will love me for who I really am. I am comfortable sharing my opinions and feelings with my partners. My partner supports and encourages me in my goals and interests in life. I feel respected by my partner. So that's another thing you can do from 1 to 10. And when you get closer to 10, well, you know that's an emotional, safe relationship for you. And the third thing is their commitment safety in my relationship. When I say commitment, I want my future to be with this person. My partner and I talk about and agree on future plans together. We agree on being faithful. That's a commitment. In addition to physical qualities, we are attracted to one another for reasons that we like each other. One or both of us are not threatened. That's a good one. It seems like we both contribute equally to the relationship. We are both willing to work at our relationship and make it better. So those are three things that you can write down, you know, physically safe, emotionally safe, commitment safe. And we can make this out as a better community. When you say so, Greg, I would think so.
Absolutely. Also, one of the things that we have to keep in mind too is that, you know, with happy families, our communities thrive, our mindset thrives. The research and the data shows that when we provide beautiful and just courteous and wonderful role models in the household, that has a thriving effect on our children, because even if they get to a situation where, you know, sliding versus deciding is a topic that we will discuss later on in the program, but they will be able to recover back, bounce back absolutely very, very quickly. So, you know, if we sit down and you self-evaluate, like Robin was mentioning, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you self-evaluate, then you can, that's kind of not a visual look in the mirror, but that's a mental look in the mirror to say, I need to either improve, or I need to do better, or if I just level off or if I just stay at a normal level, that's good. You don't want to digress. You always want to look for improvement in things that you can do.
That is so right, Greg. You are so right. You know, we want to improve what we can do. We also mentioned that, you know, marriage is the first institution that God ordained. And we believe that, especially in our communities today. Another topic we would like to discuss with you, and Greg mentioned early, is sliding versus deciding. How?
Wow.
Sliding versus deciding.
Wow. I wonder what that is.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you what that's about.
Okay.
Every decision you make has the possibility of positive and negative consequences. Sometimes decisions are made quickly without completely thinking them through. You end up sliding into a choice like having sex or living together without considering the long-term consequences or goals. Also, the future of your children. What are your goals? What are his goals? What are her goals? The more you think through these decisions and consider all your options, the more likely you are to have a healthier and safer relationship. So that's what sliding versus deciding is about. You do not want to slide into something without actually thinking it through before you decide on these choices. That's what it's all about. You want to have a foundation, before you make a decision that you're going to regret later. I know we all have regrets in life,
yes,
but let's limit those regrets,
Right, absolutely.
When you're dating, you want to make sure that you meet each other, you become friends, you have shared core values, you have commitment, you have similar goals and dreams. You can really communicate, support each other, common interests, responsible and safe. So I think if you take those in consideration when you're dating and you meet someone, keep those in mind before you actually decide into a long-term commitment. Do you have some of these things in common? When you say, Greg?
I would definitely say, boy, I know when I was at that particular age, if I could have had information ready and available to me to help me when I was choosing to mate when I was young, boy, I would have just flipped the lid, because this is some really important stuff. Because just think, family, every last one of us, if we did the research in regards to when we had relationship issues or when we started dating, and we had some type of mechanism that could help us not fall into a deep situation or a situation that we know we're going to regret. If we had mental tools to think about sliding versus deciding and things of that sort of nature, and effective communication, boy, that would have saved you a whole lot of trouble. So I think that topic affects a lot of us.
Yes, you're right, Greg. Communication, responsibility, friendship, shared core values. Today, I think, I wouldn't say all couples, but some couples might decide to live together. I tell you, thinking about it, if you and your partner are thinking about living together, these are some of points that I want to say to you. Avoid sliding into something. So you want to continue to do that. Realize that you will probably be harder to break up if you're living together than you were in a separate place because you're already there.
Right.
Think about those things. Ask yourself why you want to move in with this particular partner. Communicate about moving together. Your partner, the future. Don't move in together if you have doubts about that person. Make a wise decision. I would say that. And if you're already there living together, doesn't mean that your marriage will be in trouble or anything like that. Communicate with your partner about future plans for relationship and gathering. So these are some tips that we like to share with you.
I think those tips would be really, really helpful, family, if we decide to just look at those situations and take them and use them.
Hello, family. We are back. This is Robin and Greg with Healthy Relationships. We are brought to you by Families United. We just discussed about healthy dating and healthy lifestyle, and should you move in with someone or should you not, and those various things. But it's just, we want to mention to you about problem behaviors and kind of the danger signs. Sometimes you can pull off those layers of issues, and when you see them, you have to have a bottom line. You have to communicate and you have to talk about it. If you're unable to do those things, maybe you need to remove yourself from that relationship. I know when we fall in love, it's so exciting and it's so dreamy. These are the things that we do. We fall in love, things are steamy. It's often hard to see the problems with the other person. It's also hard to see the problems within ourselves. But with a relationship, you want to make sure you're listening and communicating and seeing some danger signs that might be there that you're not aware of. I'm just going to give a list of just a few things that, sometimes you're dating and certain people might say, well, they're a compulsive liar, they're controlling, they take advantage of people, sees self as a victim, doesn't take responsibility for his or her children, believes others are out to get them, uses people. So while you're dating and you're communicating, you're talking with that person, these are some of the signs that might come up and you're like, okay, maybe I can deal with it. I think you need to have a conversation with that person. And if you still see these things within that person, I think you may want to remove yourself from that relationship. Wouldn't you think so, Greg?
Absolutely, because the thing of it is that we all are equipped with some type of mechanism that it tells us when, from a sense aspect, that when things are not going good and things are not going, things are bad or are not digressing like they should. And the thing that we want to do is, if you can have smart tips in regards to teaching you. I know from my aspect, compromising is always the source for me when problems and issues and things arise, and particularly problem behaviors, because you have to sit down and kind of barter a situation and weigh your options. I know Robin discussed a lot of things, but the main thing is you have to really digress and positively say, now, am I doing the right thing here? Because I can remember back when my mom would always say, short-term thrills lead to long-term ills. So you always want to, realize, oh man, I really need to sit down and think things through. And you can actually make better decisions if you just slow down, take a deep breath, and think it through. Relationships are no different, they're the same thing.
That is so correct, Greg. I'm glad you mentioned that. Just to let the listening audience know that if you need to contact us for any information, we provide workshops, we have various conferences and retreats. We can come to you, we can tailor to your needs at your location, organization, churches. Contact number is 314-772-2260. You can ask for Greg or Robin. That number again is 314-772-2260.
Also, if you would like to email us, you can email us at info@healthyrelationshipstl.com. That's healthy relationships with the STI.com. And we also would like feedback from you as well. I mean, on all these topics, from the articles to the various subjects that we talk about, because family, this information is we know, and I know for a fact that if we can just digest all this information and put it in our memory storage data bank, better known as our brain, we can make better decisions. We can live better. We can thrive better. And I know parents, what would be the most thrilling thing for you to see, that once you see your children and your grandchildren having a healthy relationship? I think that's probably the happiest thing that you can see on earth, because your children are an investment from Christ.
That is so true. And I'm going to repeat the email address again. It's info@healthyrelationshipstl.com. info@healthyrelationshipstl.com. So, family, you have more information about the workshops and the various things that if you need for us to come to your location, your organization. We do Winning the Workplace Challenge for organization and corporation as well. How to get along, get things done on the job. It's always important. And we're going to continue on with problem behaviors. We mentioned that when you're dating and you're falling in love, look for those danger signs when it comes to problem behaviors. Now, if you're not in a relationship right now, think about your last serious one. You might want to come back to that relationship, or just like in your memory bank, some of the things that went right, some of the things that went wrong. Are you looking to look for a special person in the future? So you want to consider some of these things. I'm going to list some more. For instance, this person may put negative spin on everything that you do and say, These are some of problem behaviors that you might want to look at. Changes just to please others, has big mood swings, gets very angry, blame others, abuses substance, drugs, and alcohol, cheats, won't stay faithful, commit crime, doesn't handle money well, won't keep a job. So these are things that you might want to look at in problem behaviors, just to say, can we talk about it, work through them? And if not, you might want to just move on.
Right. I mean, wow. Look at all these topics here she mentioned. I know, family, that we have been in situations like this, and it's not to be critical. Again, we always talk about relationships to enhance, even though things may not be wrong, but you have to sit down and self-evaluate and look and see where is my relationship. Do I feel safe with this person? Do I want to continue to have a future with this person? Or what, in my opinion, that is most important is, hey, we have little ones, we have children in the home, so we have to be on our best P's and Q's to show them the positive reinforcements and behaviors. Because at the end of the day, uh, our children are exposed to a lot of negative things from a worldly perspective. And not only that, I think I may have mentioned this last week on the radio program. We talked about how me and Robin we were attending a friend's marriage. His daughter was getting married down in Atlanta, Georgia, and as we were dressing to proceed to the wedding, the ceremony, we saw a news clip on a newscast that came on, and it had mentioned within a 2 week period, 15 young people just committed suicide. So, family,
Wow.
when I saw that, me and Robin, we stopped as we were getting dressed, and we turned and we just said a silent prayer,
Yes.
because this is something that should not happen. Young people should be at the pinnacle point of their lives, just enjoying being outside and playing in nature and going to parks. And I know they have cell phones and they love technology, but nothing should even remotely cross a young person's mind that they should feel that depressed to be able to end their own life. Life is just beginning. So, family, parents, uh, it is vitally important that we take heed of all this positive information that we're putting out on the airwaves to show that you can make your relationship better and make your family better as well, all at the same time.
That is so true, Greg, that you mentioned that. With one of our sessions and workshop, we do reach out to youth ages 12 through 18, and we have workshops and we have lessons for them. We talk about peer to peer, self esteem, respect, conflict resolution, anger management. These are some of the things, and we talk about healthy dating for young people as well. So, listening audience, if you find that your location, your church or your school or any community organization out there looking to provide some of these resources and tools and educational tools for your youth, contact us. You're welcome to contact us at 314-772-2260.
Or email us at healthyrelationshipsstl.com, and we will definitely get back with you as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the 7 principles of smart love.
Smart love. I wonder
Smart
what that
love.
is.
Yes, yes. And we're going to elaborate on some of these. The feeling of falling in love tells you very little about the quality of a relationship. However, you can use these 7 principles of smart love. And we're going to talk about this. This will increase your chances of successful relationship. And number 1 is seek a good match.
Absolutely. I can see that being number one because, we always talk about uh, when you hear various relationships and when people are being matched up together, the number one thing that they always inquire about is, am I evenly yoked? And I know the Bible talks about that as well. But seeking a good match, I can see that being at the top of the list.
Yes, seek a good match. Number 2, pay attention to values.
Pay attention to values. Yes, that is very important because if you pay attention to values, family, think about it. You're trying to pass these values down to your children as well.
Exactly. You're trying to pass them down to your children. When I mention values, what are your core values? What do you enjoy with each other? Number 3, choose a real partner, not a makeover project. Oh, that is very important. You don't want to meet someone that you feel like you got to make over. Oh, these are adults. What you see is probably what you get. It's nothing wrong with communicating about any issue, but you can't not make that person over. You cannot change their character. Number 4, don't try to change yourself to be somebody else. That is very important. Do not change yourself to be someone else. And number 5, expect good communication and don't run from conflict. Number 6, don't play games, pressure, or manipulate someone. And number 7, always have a bottom line. Bottom line, I'm not going to put up with that anymore, but you should always have that. So listeners, I just want to let you know that, and we will be back and we will talk to you just a couple minutes.
Again, family, we are back. We were on the last segment. We were talking about seeking a good match. There were 7 core principles that Robin talked about, but we're going to go and define it a little bit more. Also, we just, for the radio listeners who have probably tuned into the program just now, this is Greg and Robin at Families United. You can reach us at 314-772-2260, or for those email junkies, you can email us at info@healthyrelationshipsstl.com, and we will certainly get back with you and see how we can help your situation in any form, shape, or fashion. So Robin was talking about 7 SMART principles, and I'm going to hand it over to her, and she's going to define or give you some fill-in information in regards to how to make those 7 SMART principles work.
Thank you, Greg. We were just talking about earlier about the 7 principles of smart love. 7 principles of smart love. And number 1 was seek a good match. Seek a good match or seek a good mate. And in this, you want to share common interests, like to do the same things for fun. Personalities. Do you work well together? Do you have similar friends? Principle number 2, pay attention to values. Do you share values about issues such as respect, commitment, responsibility, and faithfulness? And sometimes there are values about what church you go to, or what church you would like to go to, or what religion. You have to think about those things as well. Principle number 3, choose a partner, not a makeover project. When you choose a partner, consider whether you want children, or do you want the same thing? Do you have serious problems that need to be fixing? You have to think about those things. Principle number 4, don't try to change yourself to be somebody else. In a healthy relationship, partners may feel comfortable being themselves. They like to feel like they're free, like they're somebody, or they don't want anybody that want to make them over. They want to be themselves, because they want to feel comfortable while they're dating. Principle number 5, expect good communication and don't run from conflict. How well do you communicate? How much conflict do you have? What things can you change about the way you communicate? And number 6, don't play games, pressure, or manipulate someone. Healthy relationships are honest. They're not based on games or manipulation. Do your partner pressure you? Does he or she pressure you? Have a bottom line. When I say have a bottom line, know your limits about what you need and what you want in that relationship. Set your own standards on how you want to be treated or wish to be treated, and stick to it. Keep in mind, children often model what they see. Make certain you are setting the example you intended to. And what are the things you need and what you want in that relationship? So those are 7 principles of smart relationship or meeting a smart mate or smart love.
I can, family, I really can relate to all of those. All of those are vitally important. But I know, I think sometimes when you use examples, me and Robin, we do this on a regular basis. I talk about our examples when we're teaching classes or we have segments. And I know principle number 2 really just stuck with me. And I think that was pay attention to values. Do you share values about issues such as respect, commitment, responsibility, and faithfulness? Because that I'm big on respect. I mean, I think that's 50% of a relationship is when you respect your mate. Because when things are not going right, you always have to look at your mate as your soulmate, the love of your life, and number 1, that she is my best friend. Because as you communicate and you talk, all the other things, you can resolve conflict, you can resolve issues, you can resolve problems. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, that reflected on our relationship was we respected one another. And that means the world when you're with your queen and she's with her king, but you had the utmost respect for one another. So I just wanted to pretty much mention that about principle number 2. Even though, family, you might see principle number 4, principle number 5, principle number 6, but they're all designed to help our relationships at whatever particular point we are at that particular time.
Yes, that is so true, Greg, and you are right. These are some things that you can take and just, implement in your life and your lifestyle if need so. We're going to move on to what we call My Family Background. This is another segment that we would like to add to healthy relationships today. And my family background, wow. Very interesting. If I can tell you some things about my family background, you'd be surprised. Or
and
maybe
mine as well.
I know, Greg. It's
I
just
think we all would.
We all have those in our family. But, we thank God for family. Like I said, marriage and family is the first thing that God ordained when he created the earth. And, it's all about healthy relationship and healthy families. I know, just mentioning my family background, we all have different family backgrounds. Some people, Greg, grew up in happy and loving families, and others had painful experiences with their family, sometimes including abuse or neglect. For most people, there is a mix of both good and bad experiences. Unless you stop and think about the way you grew up, you're likely to repeat the patterns from the past. So this is definitely a topic about family background. We all have some good experiences and some we have bad. And sometimes we bring those relationships, our past, into the relationships we have now. And we bring some of those things into the family. Or we bring those things to dating. We bring these things to our children. We bring these things to our spouse. And what do we do about it? It can be useful to know about your partner's background. If you understand the patterns you and your partner learned growing up, and if you discuss what you want for your own family, you have more control and greater chance of having the family that you want. So sometimes talking about the background of the person you're dating is nothing wrong with that, because you're going to have in-laws. You're going to have grandmas and grandpas, and you're going to have children. So it's always good to know these particular things.
And not to say that is a bad thing, because, like they say, the more you know, the better you can understand and evaluate and make better decisions. So I can see that being a really important topic because researching anything, whatever the subject may be, always can create a better outcome. So, knowing about parents and adults in the home and, far as what problems, I mean, even medical history, mental assessments. I mean, you've got a whole wide range of things that you, as a couple, or before you get married, or before you decide to be engaged, or whatever that level may be, that you both honestly need to sit down and communicate to one another, because there's nothing more or less couples, when things happen, if you say, well, you never discussed this with me. So it's just like going to an emergency room. You want to communicate it, put the fire out, and do what they call preventative care. And I like to assess that as preventative communication, because if you can get these things out and get them in the open prior to these situations happening, your outcome could be a lot smoother and a lot better. And that's what these topics that we're bringing to you, family, about how to resolve issues, and how to just, even if you don't have problems, you can enhance. Me and my wife, we've been married 20 years, and we actively pretend healthy marriage retreats. They are like therapy, and they're tremendous. And we will be trying to galvanize the community, the Webster, Kirkwood, Glendale community. We're going to try to include these segments and these retreats in your community, because we know they're like, it's like a breath of fresh air. If you have children, you can get away, because, what better deal for you as a community and as a family to be able to take your wife, take her out of the confines, and get her into a solid, her or him, into a solid spiritual, nature-filled background, totally just concentrating on your marriage and each other. I tell you, it's like batteries being charged up.
That is so true. It's always good to feel relaxed and refresh and retreat. It's always good to feel that way. You mentioned, if couples need to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at 314-772-2260. We can refer you out to someone with pre-counseling if you're getting married, or you can contact us as well. And so, listeners, this is very important. Healthy relationships within the community, within the families, and with our children. And we will be right back. Hello, family. This is Greg and Robin, back to you with Families United. We're talking about healthy relationships in the community, within your home, within your schools, within your churches. And we just discussed about my family background. We all have different family backgrounds. Some people grew up in happy, loving families, and others had painful experiences with their families. But when you dating and when you're meeting someone that's new and you're looking to have a future with that person, it can be very useful to know about your partner's background too. If you understand the patterns you and your partner learned growing up, and if you discuss what you want for your own family, you have more control and greater chance of having the family that you want. So it's about communication. And if you are a couple who are getting or interested in getting married or engaged, This will be a great opportunity for you to have pre counseling before you get married. It's very important to discuss these things with your partner. I know we have a list of things about my family background, and I'm just going to mention some of them. And this is for our parents or adults in the home. When we're able to talk openly about their feelings to each other, good or bad, does it seem to have a lot of topics and feelings they can't talk about? So you want to be able to be open with your family. In my family sometimes, and this is an example, people generally told each other what was going on in their lives. And then on the other hand, they hardly ever shared with each other what's going on in their lives. So you want to make sure you have open communication with your family. Now, this is another example. When there was a problem, people got mad, explode, but they never really sat down to resolve the problem. People tend to avoid talking about it. Then, on the other hand, we actually sat down, talked about it, and tried to solve it. So I think talking about the problem, we actually sat down, talked about it, and tried to solve the problem. So these are things that you can do with your family. These are things you can do when you're dating. Some topics and some issues that you can just write down and say, this is something I would love to do with my future family.
Wow, that's interesting. I noticed that all these principles in regards to the SMART principles and the background information is so important. But family, if you notice, it seems as if we're always giving you examples in 7 because 7 is God's number. And if you really think about it, we can. This information is so useful in regards to where we are and what we do in our situations and in our relationships, and not only just in our relationships, in communicating daily, whether we're on our jobs or whether we're meeting new people or we're representing a company or just whatever situation is. Effective communication will always get you through and make a good impression on you. There's one more thing that I would like to share with you. And of course, we're back to the number 7. Family, I'm going to give you 7 smart ways to celebrate your marriage. So again, we're talking about the problem issues and not that they're just a problem. You're just always trying to enhance and end on a good note on anything. But these 7 principles are really good because sometimes we're working, we're with the kids, we're doing things around the house, or we tend to not, we get out of touch in regards to how we celebrate our marriages and our anniversary dates and our birthdays, and all these things are very important. But here we go with the 7 ways to celebrate your marriage. Number 1, have an appreciation day for your spouse. This is a day focused on showing your spouse how much they mean to you. You can purchase a small token or appreciation or schedule a dinner that allows you to show how much you mean to her and she means to you face to face, family. That is very important. Number 2, go old school and write your spouse a love letter. Now, in my opinion, this will never go out of style. Old school, new school. What better way for you to write down? Because I'm big on writing and putting it somewhere, whether if it's on her dresser or in a mirror or somewhere where she can see that and see that she's being appreciated. Because sometimes if we don't do that, we'll just get caught in our daily rut. Number 3, send flowers, edible arrangements, or candy just because. That doesn't have to be a special occasion. You just want to make a good habit of doing things like that. Again, you're showing your spouse that you are appreciative of what they do, whether it's working with the kids, in the household or whatever case may be. Number 4, you want to make a few small sacrifices. Sometimes a movie or things might be boring to you, but sometimes you just might have to just go with the flow, but don't just be critical and just say, oh, I don't think I too much care for this. You always want to be, if it's sometimes things are just better said, not said. Number 5, cater to your spouse in the way that they would appreciate it. If I'm talking, cooking, or making their favorite meal, serving them or giving them body massages, foot rubs, or things of that sort of nature. So you want to pay attention to that as well. Number 6, of course, you want to make love to your spouse. That needs no definition, family. I think you know what that means. You always want to do that as well.
I hear you, Greg.
And number 7, last but not least, you want to brag on your spouse and celebrate your love publicly. So if you use social media, share a post that examples your love for your spouse. And if you don't find other ways to brag on how amazing your spouse is, you can do it at the family gathering. Now, family, those are 7 marvelous things that I guarantee you, and this is a guarantee coming from Families United, that this will rekindle, revive, restore, and renew your marriage. Robin, I'm going to pass it to you.
Wonderful, Greg. I love those 7 principles of, what would we call them?
Those are 7 ways to celebrate your marriage.
7 ways to celebrate your marriage. Listening audience, those are wonderful and great. I suggest that you definitely use some of those 7 wonderful things to celebrate your marriage. It's so important that we celebrate our marriage because our marriage is the foundation of our community. When you have 2 incomes, when you have children gathering, when you have family dinners, when you look for the future for your kids' college fund, you can do these things together as a couple and as a family and as one. And it's so very important and vital for our minds and our healthy. We have to do these things, listening audience, because it's very important to our community. It's very important to our health. Did you know that the most stressful thing a couple will go through is when they have a divorce? It's more stressful than when a person pass away.
Yes, I can imagine.
So it's number 1 up there when it comes to health. So, listening audience, is very important that you take heed to this information. We mentioned earlier, you can contact us at 314-772-2260. We're Families United. We promote healthy relationship. We can have workshop and sessions for young people, those who are single, and as well as couples enhancement and winning the workplace challenge. We have a segment that's called Winning the Workplace Challenge. So you're welcome to contact us, listening audience, and we appreciate your time with us.
Also,
Greg?
one more thing, Robin. If you're looking to volunteer, we can also use volunteers because we have various fundraisers to help fund the retreats, the workshops, and things of that sort of nature. So you can, again, call the number at 314-772-2260. Or for you email junkies, you can email us at info@healthyrelationshipsstl.com. And we would love to hear from you because we know a family that prays together stays together. And we're going to wrap it up, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. So, family, we love you, and we're signing off.